All right, question number 1. What was it like to give birth to me?
Well, your birth was a little unusual. I came for a tricky labor, but my pregnancy with both of you was great. Everything was great. And then, like the day before, we were both late. I had to be induced with Julia, and then with you, I was going to be induced. You were 2 weeks late. And the night that I went into the hospital to be checked in to be induced in the morning, I had one last exam, and the doctor said, he's twisted. He's not, he's feet first. And I was like, what are you talking about? So that meant that I needed to have a C-section. I couldn't give birth to you regularly. It was not a normal delivery anymore. So she told us to go home and have a nice dinner and come back in the morning for a C-section. I was like, wow. My worst fear was to have an emergency C-section. So to at least know ahead of time that I was having a C-section, I felt relieved by. Yeah, so I got in there. Your dad and I went in around 7 o'clock in the morning. Got the epidural or anesthetic or whatever. And the anesthesiologist was a nut. He was a total nut. He said, can you feel anything? And I was like, I don't know, maybe. So he's like, I'll fix that. So he gave me more anesthesiology stuff, And so they cut me open, they pulled you out, and they sent me into recovery, and they wouldn't let me out until I could move my legs. Well, I couldn't move my legs for so long because the anesthesiologist had given me too much stuff to numb me.
So how long was it?
Cheapers. I mean, you were fine, but they wouldn't let me out for like hours, like 4 or 5 hours. I had to wait to see you.
That's okay. Question number 2.
Mm-hmm.
Did I cry a lot when I was first born?
You're a perfect baby. You did not cry a lot, but you spit up a lot. You used to have projectile spit ups. So every picture of me, I have a towel on. But you were quiet as could be. And your sister, I had your sister running around at the same time. So she was still keeping me pretty busy. And you would just hang out and play with her or just do whatever. You weren't really much of a bother. You didn't cry at all.
Hooray. Alright, question number 3. As soon as my computer is willing to cooperate with me.
Well, on the other hand, your sister never stopped crying.
Oh.
Just so you know.
Before I could talk, what did I do and how did I act?
You were adorable. What did you do and how did you act? You're just sweet as could be before you could talk and when you could talk. You liked to be held. You smiled all the time. You giggled. Your big bright eyes looking at us. You seemed to be tan when you were born. What else? You were just a happy, happy baby.
Alright. What was my first word?
Probably mama.
Funny. My father says that it was Dada. Why didn't you keep track of that?
You know me.
Did you keep track of Julia's and then just get tired with it since I was the second child?
No, I don't know Julia's either. People said I would forget, and I didn't think I would. So.
All right, number 5. When did I start to walk, and what was it like watching me learn to walk?
What was it like to learn? Say that again.
When did I start to walk, and what was it like watching me learn to walk? Like, was I really bad at it at first?
No, you were pretty good at the get-go. You pulled yourself up and you used the coffee table and you used that toy box. You were up and running pretty darn quick. So if anything, I was happy that you were walking, but I was also like, oh man, I got to keep up with this kid. Because you were off and running pretty darn quick. And then once you were able to walk, phew, you know what happened once you were able to walk.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that. What were my favorite toys as a kid?
Both you and your sister loved to read those board books.
The what?
Board books. So you always had board books, the big fat books.
Oh yeah, the ones that are like made from cardboard.
Yeah. So you always had those with you. You had Lammy, an elephant, and you had your favorite blankets, and I think you were a little older when you started to like Buzz Lightyear became your big favorite. But when you were just before talking and walking, you just had Lammy and your Ellie.
When did I start to have the Buzz Lightyear?
I'm not sure how old you were when Toy Story came out. I want to say 2. You were definitely walking and talking.
Well, I mean, it came out in like '99, but
Oh,
the probably was like the first time I watched it or something.
yeah.
It was either '99
I
or
mean, I think
2001.
we had a Buzz Lightyear birthday party when you were turning 2. I'm trying to think when we went to Disney the first time with you. Do you remember?
I don't. I hear stories, but I do not remember.
Yeah, you loved Buzz Lightyear. That was your favorite. I'm trying to think because I had you in preschool, and I put you in preschool. I think you were 16 or 18 months when you started preschool. And I'm pretty sure it was just after your second birthday we went. Yeah, it was just after your second birthday. Marnie was pregnant. Does that sound right? Marnie was pregnant with AJ.
Do you think I remember?
No, but how old's AJ now?
I don't know.
Is he 2 years younger than you? 2.5, almost 3 years?
I think he's 3.
Yeah,
It's not 4.
Pretty sure it was just after your second birthday. We went in June. You were potty trained, but you wouldn't go poop in the toilet. You needed a diaper. And so, I remember telling you when we got to Disney that I wasn't bringing diapers, and I wasn't carrying a change of clothes, so you needed to use the toilet, and that was that. And you did. Just like that. Instantly toilet trained at Disney. It was magical. So did that answer your question about what you liked when you were little?
Yes.
Okay.
All right. What were my favorite activities as a kid?
Reading. We like to watch certain TV shows.
What books would I read?
Oh my God, we read all of them, like all the Eric Carle books and Dr. Seuss books. You used to have nightmares. Do you remember this?
I do remember a little bit. You can keep going.
Want me to keep going on the nightmares?
Yeah.
You used to have nightmares that you would just wake up screaming bloody murder in the night, and I didn't know how to calm you. You were like awake, but you weren't awake, and I remember the only thing I could do was to come down and put your favorite show, Spot, at the time. You remember Spot?
Wasn't it like a dog?
It was just a dog, and there was like, I don't even think there were words in it, and just a little bit of music. It was very soothing, and I used to just lie on the couch with you, and you would watch that, and then I'd put you back to bed, and you'd be Okay. Trying activities. We always went to the beach when the weather was nice, and we got you sledding and out in the snow as soon as we could. I wasn't a big fan of like Legos and Play-Doh because they were too messy, so I didn't let you do that much.
I spent a lot of time on the boat to Zorro, right? Good amount of
Oh
time.
yeah, yeah, you forgot about that. Good Lord, yeah.
All
That's all I
right.
want to say about that.
Uh, when did I really start to misbehave, and what was that like?
It was early. And I don't know. I was your sister when she was 9 months old. I could say to her, "Stay away from the wood stove," and she would. She listened to everything I ever said. So when your term came around and I would tell you to do something, you just wouldn't. You you just had your own mind of what you were going to do and how you were going to do it. And you really didn't care what we had to say about it. So it was difficult. I couldn't get you. I can remember like trying to take you to the Museum of Science, and you just went ballistic. And I had to carry you out, kicking and screaming. I thought somebody would think I was kidnapping you. Like, oh my God! So I stopped wanting to take you places because I wasn't strong enough to protect you. And so I didn't. If I brought you over to the pond to play, you would run across the street. Um, if I remember I used to have to keep the pantry locked because you would go in and tear things apart. I'd keep everything all locked up. I think I remember one time I went to take a shower and you flooded the kitchen floor. It was a challenge. I asked the pediatrician. I said, "I can't keep this kid controlled. What do I do?" And she's like, "Oh, it's normal." Then you bolted out of the exam room and we're out of the office faster than either one of us could do anything, and you were heading for the parking lot. That's when she gave me the number to a behavior specialist. She's like, "Okay, this is dangerous." I mean, literally, you were out of the doctor's office faster than we could even react. So then, when I saw the behavior specialist, she said the house was filled with too much love, too much giving, and too much stimulation and toys. And I don't know if you remember, but
I
we had
don't.
everything. Because between me, your father, and all 6 of your loving grandparents, we did not want for a toy whatsoever. Anything any one of us thought was cute, we got. So that my old office was a playroom, and it was filled with toys. Your bedroom was filled. Both of your bedrooms were filled with toys, and this room was filled with toys. And the specialist said we had to put it all away. It was too much. So we did. And that's when the playroom stopped being a playroom. We needed to take things out one at a time. And that's when she taught us the timeout procedure that didn't exactly work for you.
Which was?
Well, ordinarily you would tell a kid to just take a timeout, which that was not an option for you. So then the next option would be to hold a child, and you would wrap your arms around and hold them in a timeout. But you were too strong, and I wasn't strong enough to hold you. So that's when she taught me the pinning method, which was when I would hold your arms down and your face down, and then count to 10. And your timeout was that you just couldn't fight. So you had to not fight for a count of 10. If you struggled, I'd have to recount. And then you'd have your timeout, and then you'd be okay. It's really weird. It worked. And eventually you didn't misbehave because you didn't want to deal with being pinned down.
All right. Uh, what was my relationship with Julia when I was little?
Oh, Julia doted on you. You guys were best buddies, always. Played together. And then, of course, you had Lexi. So the three of you were like always together.
Hmm. All right. What was it like on my first day of school?
Preschool or
Both.
kindergarten?
Both.
Um, when you started preschool, oh, you didn't want to go. It was so hard. You would throw your little nutty, and the teachers would just tell me to go because you would be screaming and crying that you didn't want me to leave. And this is why I sent you to preschool because I couldn't. I didn't have. I needed to. I couldn't manage you all day long because you were with your tantrums and such. So I only sent you for a couple hours. I think just a couple of days a week just to get some sanity. And yeah, so they just would tell me to leave, and they said you were fine after I left, and you were fine. And you started kindergarten. I think I have some pictures. You were cute, but you had Julia there, so it was you were used to the school already. It wasn't. I mean, I don't want to say it wasn't such a big deal for you, but you had been in the school, you had already met people, you had friends coming in. So it wasn't as big of a deal. You just kind of went to school. You were used to it. You'd already been to going to Exeter Day School. You were used to going to school. So it was just, yeah. And you had Mrs. Greenwood, and of course she loved you. But you were used to like the lineup, remember?
Yeah.
You were used to it already. Does that answer the question?
Yes.
You're gonna have a hard time transcribing this, huh?
I am. What was a typical day like for me? Like, maybe before I started going to preschool.
Oh my goodness.
Sorry, I'm kind of jumping back and forth on
That's all right.
the age.
Before you guys were in school every Wednesday we used to go to Nan's. So that was something we did. We would hang out with her. Grampy and Grandma used to come up a lot too, so we'd spend time at the farm with them. And otherwise, we hung out and we played together. We read, we crawled around on the floor, and occasionally I'd let you do arts and crafts. But we built with blocks, and you had all kinds of trains and cars and noisy toys. We just would hang out and play. That's about it.
Uh, what were you really strict with me about?
When you were little?
Yeah, like certain things it was just like strict about.
I don't think I was unusually strict about anything. I
Well, there
mean,
was the television.
well, I had limitations on television. I didn't want you watching TV all the time. Um, but you were getting older by that point. I mean, when you were little, I only let you watch PBS shows. And yeah. And Susie gave me a tape of PBS shows. Back then, the VHS. So I had, because back in the day, you couldn't just get a PBS show on when you wanted it. There was actually other television programming. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but
Yeah.
So Susie had a tape, gave me a bunch of tapes, so I had like a whole thing of Dragon Tales and Barney, so I could just make sure that you watched what I was okay with you watching.
I don't remember that at all.
Yeah, we used to watch a lot of Dragon Tales. Barney, a little bit of Barney. We weren't. Your dad hated Barney, so we didn't watch it too much.
Why?
Well, the purple dinosaur had a bad reputation. We weren't big on the Teletubbies. Lexi was huge on the Teletubbies, but we weren't big on the Teletubbies.
Wait, what? Barney had a bad reputation?
Yes, Barney had a bad reputation.
Like the physical guy?
I don't know. People just didn't like the show. I don't know. I guess it was a little bit annoying.
Yeah, I can see that.
So I didn't let you watch like SpongeBob SquarePants and certain other things, and I limited your time on the television. And then when you started elementary school, we had the no TV on school nights. So Friday night was a big deal. Friday night was movie night. We'd have pizza and movies every Friday.
When we watched Survivor too.
You were a little older for that.
Oh. Alright. What kind of luxuries would you buy for me as a kid? It sounds like you bought me a lot of toys until I started misbehaving.
We still got you everything, and it wasn't just me. I mean, Grampy bought you anything you wanted. Grammy bought you anything you wanted, and Nan, and so I mean, there wasn't a thing that you didn't have. Let's just put it that way. I can't think specifically of luxuries, but honestly, there was not a toy that you didn't have. We had so many things, but we had to put things away.
All right.
You had the Jeep. You remember the Jeep?
Oh, I do remember the Jeep.
You used to drive around. You had your own little Jeep you could drive around. You had every remote control truck and car you could possibly want. Of course, you would break them.
Yeah, but everybody did.
Everyone broke them?
Yeah, they don't last very long.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the Jeep and the remote control cars, I think, were some of your favorite things.
I remember that Jeep.
Yeah, we had that for a long time.
It was a speed demon. I feel like I knew how to hook up the battery too.
Yep, you did learn how to do that.
Because we had two batteries, so one would charge.
Yeah.
And then I'd use the other one, and if it was getting slower.
You used to tool all around the place in that thing. Run people over. No, just kidding. You never ran anyone over.
Hooray. Alright. Where did I go to preschool, and what did I do there?
You went to Child's Place. Oh, and they did all kinds of fun things. You were quick study, so they taught you when you were, your alphabet and your phonemic awareness, all your sounds you had nailed before you even two. You could read. By the time you were in Exeter Day School, you could read. So you went there for a year.
To Child's Place for a year.
You went to Child's Place, and then when did I send you to Exeter Day School? I think you went to.
It's either a year before I started kindergarten or 2 years before I started kindergarten.
I think it was the year before you started kindergarten. I think it was just you graduated from Child's Place. I think they just didn't have a program for you knew everything.
Yeah.
So we needed to get you another program. So that's when I think I decided to send you to Exeter Day School. It was also closer to here and still has a really good reputation. And then when I sent you to kindergarten, I would drive you to Exeter Day School after kindergarten. I think not every day, but maybe 2 or 3 days a week.
I'd go to Exeter Day after
kindergarten. Yeah, I would pick you up and bring you over to Exeter Day School.
I have no recollection of that.
Yeah, I used to work at the town hall.
Oh, yeah.
When you were in kindergarten. So when I got out of work, I would pick you up, drive you over to Exeter Day School, and then I'd go work out. And by the time I was done exercising, I'd come back and get you.
I remember one time I left, like when you're picking me up from Exeter Day School, I left without any of them seeing that I left, and they thought that I got stolen,
Really?
and they called you about it.
I don't
And they're
remember.
like, "Is Lars with you in the car?" And you were like, "Yeah, why?" And they're like, "Oh my God, we didn't even see him go, because you slipped up, and I just got in the car and we left." It was like really, it was quicker than it normally is. Normally they like talk to you or something, just to say like hello, right?
Yeah, I don't remember. I'm
And
sorry.
I was like, "Let's go." I was like ready to go.
And you
And
remember.
so we were like 3/4 of the way home, and you got a call, and then you hung up, and you're like, "Lars, you need to tell them that you left."
That doesn't surprise me. That was when you had your own. You still do have your mind of your own. You're gonna do what you're gonna do.
All right, last question. What did I not ask that I should know about my childhood?
Oh, it was perfect. I don't know. I think we hit everything. I'm trying to think if there's something you should know that you didn't ask. Yeah, we talked about preschool. Talked about potty training. That was important. Disney magic.
Do you remember what happened at Disneyland?
A little bit. Why?
I remember hearing some funny stories about it, like Dad, mainly.
Your father. I don't know if you want to record this, but your father was a royal pain in the ass at Disney. He hated the Disney police. I mean, for a man who had a family all expense paid trip to Disney, the man never stopped complaining for a minute. We had the wilderness cabin. We took a limo to get there from the airport. We had the total VIP treatment. We didn't have to pay for a thing. Grampy took care of every blessed detail, including spending money. Everything was taken care of. And your dad was just like, please, this is for your kids. Let's go have fun. He hated Disney. I'm sure he tells you stories like how he hated the Disney police and blah, blah, blah. He couldn't go fishing. Does he tell you
He
those
did tell me.
stories?
He did tell me about the fishing, where he wasn't allowed to like fish in a certain area.
Right. He brought a fishing rod because we were in the wilderness area and he wanted to go fishing. And they wouldn't let you just go fishing with your own rod, because you're in Disney. So you had to pay to go fishing. So he was pissed about that. That's another story that I can think of. I just. Whew. That's not anything you really needed to know, though. We had a good time. You were good kids. We were a mob. There was like 12 of us. So it was kind of difficult to navigate because there were so many of us and it was June and it was super crowded. But you guys did a good job. You were really young. So I had a double stroller and pushed your sister and you around. It was good.
All right, that does it. Thank you.
I'm trying to think if there's anything I missed. I think that does it.
Yeah, thank you.
Now what are you supposed to do with that?